everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and today we're going to be kicking off the Winterween readathon. If you don't know what the Winterween readathon is, it is a readathon that is hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte. It's just a spooky readathon where you read thriller or horror, mystery, true crime, anything spooky during that week. They do Winterween, Summerween, Camp Weekendween. So this happens a couple times throughout the year, and this week we are doing Winterween. I'm filming this clip in the middle of Winterween because I decided that I needed to break this vlog up into pieces because I was reading so much and the vlogs were gonna get really long. So this is me actually on Thursday introducing you to part one of the reading vlog, which is going to take place from Sunday to Wednesday. The readathon actually didn't officially start until Monday, but Gabby and Olivia kicked the readathon off a little bit early on Sunday with some Patreon reading sprints. So I just kicked the readathon off on Sunday as well. There are prompts for this readathon again that I am going to try to follow. So here are all the prompts for the readathon this time around. I'm going to try to hit all of them. I might hit multiple prompts with one book and I'm cool with that. I'm just gonna actually try to hit them all this time because last time I didn't really try to do the prompts, but this time I'm in the mood to do the prompts again. So I'm going to be trying to hit those. And in this portion of the vlog, you're going to see me complete 2 full novels and then start a 3rd book. I also have a little bit of a book haul because I get my book of the month box. I talk about some more video plans for the month. There's just a lot going on here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and send you on back in time to Ashley on Sunday, back when I settled in for some cozy Patreon reading sprints with Gabby and Olivia to kick off the readathon.
My vote is Reckless Girls because I just read it. Yeah. Love to know your thoughts.
Hello, I just got off of the reading sprints that Gabby and Olivia were doing on Gabby's Patreon, and I decided to pick up Near the Bone by Christina Henry as my first book of Winterween. And I got about 85 pages into this one throughout a couple reading sprints, and I don't know, it's just not what I was expecting. I'm also cooking dinner. There's nothing in there yet, but I am boiling water to cook dinner right now. So if you hear any noises, that is dinner happening. But I'm gonna sit you down so we can chat while I cook. So I knew this story was going to be about an abusive husband situation. It follows this married couple who are living in this isolated place out in the woods. They're in this like cabin area. The cover gives very cool vibes, but it's actually very terrifying. She's stuck in the woods with her husband. He's super abusive, and there's just a lot more going on in the situation that you're piecing together in the first couple of chapters of the book. So it's darker than I anticipated in the setup of their relationship, but it's cheesier than I expected in the abusive nature of their relationship. It's almost, I don't know, like over the top villainy in the way that the man is portrayed. And I don't want to make that sound like I don't think people can be this evil and this bad, because I know people can be this evil and this bad, but just the way the dialogue is written and the things between them, it just doesn't come off like authentically evil. It comes off a little over the top evil. So that's pulling me out of the story a little bit because it's hard for me to see this. I don't want to say realistic. I don't know how to explain it. It's just not really pulling me in. It's not sucking me into the story. And then the pacing is also just kind of strange and different from what I expected. So the synopsis that this book gives is that the wife sees a mutilated body of a fox in the woods, and then that's what makes her realize that they're not alone after all. There's something in the woods that wasn't there before, something with sharp teeth and claws. When 3 strangers appear on the mountaintop looking for the creature in the woods, Maddie knows their presence will anger William. Terrible things happen when William is angry. And that's the synopsis. But when the book begins, it kicks off really early with her finding that mutilated fox body, bringing that up to her husband, them realizing there is a creature. They're calling it just a giant bear at first. That's what they think it is, and kind of, you know, investigating that, but nothing's really happened. I mean, it has, but I don't know. It's just like weird, the pacing of this story. It doesn't read like a normal kind of intro to a story, inciting incident, building action, climax type of arc. It just kind of starts with them in a terrible abusive relationship. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna love this one. I'm not loving it so far. I actually tried to pick this book up before. I think I did it for a try a chapter video, maybe, or else I just did that on my own where I just tried a chapter of this one before, and I felt all the same things that I'm feeling now. I'm 85 pages in and I'm still feeling that way. So I don't know about this one. If I'm still feeling this way around halfway through the book, I might decide to DNF this one. It's only a little over 300 pages, so it's not super long, but I don't know. If I'm not loving it, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it anyway. So I'll check in with you again once I get to that halfway point and we'll see if I'm liking it more. The strangers haven't really been introduced. We've met one person, but I don't know if that counts as one of the strangers, but that's what I want to see. I want to see the strangers be introduced and people, and then the tension of, will she be able to escape this abusive marriage? Will other people figure out what's going on here? I think that would make the story more exciting. So hopefully that starts happening, and then I'll check in with you once I'm halfway through the book and we'll see what I think about it by then. Here is the most unaesthetic video I've ever shot to let you know that it was snowing on this beautiful first day of Winterween, but it's no longer snowing, and it really wasn't a lot. That's my little back steps. There's like a little snow, not a lot, but that's exciting. Good morning, coming at you live from my desk chair. I don't think we've ever chatted here before, but hello. So today is officially the first day of Winterween. We got the kickoff early yesterday, but I've already finished a book. Did I make mistakes? Yes, in so many ways. I stayed up way too late reading this book, but I just wanted to finish it, and not because I was enjoying it. Oh boy, just get ready for this conversation. It's my first day back at work after a week and some time off, so I'm also just really tired. Okay, here we go. I think I might have read a different book from everyone else. Like, can we compare copies? For all the people who have given this 5 stars, can we just like flip through the pages together and make sure we read the same book? Because I don't think I read the same book. I actively disliked many, many things about this book, and I'm gonna give it a 1 star. Yikes. Just for some quick context, today's January 3rd, and on the first day of the year, I finished my first book of the year. It was The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor, and I absolutely loved it. It was a 5 star. I was obsessed. I was so glad I started my reading year off that way. This is the second book I'm reading of the year, and it's a 1 star. So that's the duality of me. Yeah, no, I really, 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 really did not like this book for so very many reasons. I did stay up super late reading it, and I was afraid I was gonna forget, so I took notes of all the things that I did not like about this book. Oh gosh, so many things. So first, I talked about it in the previous clip, and I want to communicate this the right way. And I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, because I totally understand that evil exists in this world, and there are really evil people out there. There are really evil men out there. It is not something I am a stranger to. But the way this abusive relationship was written on the page, like just the way that characters were built, that dialogue was written, the way that characters were being built out as characters read more like a caricature to me. The abusive husband just read like this extra evil villain character, caricature-y. Like, it didn't read like a human being who is evil. It read like the evil villain in a very cheesy movie. In horror in particular, I really think the psychological aspect is what's most terrifying most of the time. Like, people scare me more than monsters and ghosts. So it's really important to me that the characters are written well to build that sense of horror. Not to be like, oh, a scary creature, but to be a complex human being experiencing complex things. And this just was not very well done for me at all. It was very poorly done in my opinion. I also just didn't think the other three characters were built well. That's in the synopsis, that there are three strangers who appear, and that complicates things in this abusive marriage. They just weren't built well. They weren't distinguishable between one another. I didn't know things about them. I didn't care about them. And it becomes important that you care about them because the second half of this book becomes a pure survival story, which means the stakes should be high. You should be worried about people dying. And I didn't care about any of those extra people because I didn't feel like we got the time to. And then the main character, Maddie, the wife, was written in such an inconsistent way throughout the story. There wasn't arc that made sense, and I get people like change one way and another and another and another, and life is not this linear journey of growth, but this book takes place over the course of like, I don't know, a couple days, and her character would read inconsistent like within a scene. The way she's acting at the beginning of the scene, in the middle of the scene, and the end of the scene just feels like different characters with different backgrounds to be acting a different way. Like sometimes she's this ultra confident, making decisions, come on, we're gonna go do it, and literally like the next second she's really meek and feeble and can't do anything. And I don't know, it just, I know as a human being experiencing the things she has experienced, I understand she would be through so much trauma. I'm not trying to downgrade the situation or think that I understand the perfect psychological mechanisms of how you should write an abusive marriage. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying as a story, this was just not good. There's also such a large portion of the book where our main character is not even like speaking in full sentences. It's just ellipsed out words. So she's basically croaking out sentences. The way I interpreted that, I'm pretty sure that's from like throat damage from her husband choking her, and so she's not able to speak all the way. I think it also might be part psychological and she's feeling really overwhelmed in the situation, but mostly I think it's like her throat is damaged from him choking her so much. And I don't know, like that just felt kind of gratuitous to me, the way she was being written as this really meek thing that she couldn't even speak in more than one words at a time, like literally speaking like a child as she's meeting all these new people and they're talking about all these things that she has no idea because she's been held alone in this cabin with this man for so long. It was just a little, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. It was weird. There's so many things I didn't like about this book. It was also extremely repetitive. Like in scenes, you would just be circling in her head over the same thoughts over and over and over again because you get so stuck in her head the way this is written. And it's just like looping thoughts where it's like, okay, we're gonna make progress. Oh no, we're back to the very beginning of her thought pattern, and looping progress. Oh no, we're back to the beginning. And like you have to read through 5 pages just to get through one thought at sometimes. And it's, I don't know. There's just, oh, also, I don't know if this book tries to make it a mystery what has happened with her in her past and the man's past, but it's fairly obvious the way it's written. Like you figure out very quickly what's going on here. She doesn't, which makes sense. But then like the unraveling of that mystery took so long, which is fine because it makes sense why it would take her a long time to understand things. But the way that's revealed to the reader, either make it a mystery or don't. I don't know. It was just like in this weird gray area where it was like trying to be a mystery, but it was super obvious. So it wasn't a surprise or a mystery in any way. I don't know. I know someone's going to take this the wrong way and someone's going to think that I am trying to like invalidate this woman's trauma or the experiences she undergoes or the way abusive relationships are depicted, because every abusive relationship is different. Like I'm not trying to say any of that at all. I'm saying as a book, as the way this was written, it was not compelling, it was not convincing, it was not engaging. I did not like it, and I'm giving it 1 star. And I'm sorry, I know so many people love this, but like I said, I think we read different books. I'm convinced, you know, maybe your copy is different. Maybe there's just a whole different story hidden within these pages that I'm experiencing different from everyone else. But yeah, this just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me, and that's fine. Everyone can have different opinions. I just can't believe it because I've only seen like 4 and 5 star ratings of this, and I was just so wildly disappointed. Anyway, that's that. As for what I'm reading next, I don't really know. It's Monday morning right now. I really need to get into work and get reacquainted with just working because it's been like 10 days or so, I guess, with weekends included since I worked. So I have a lot of emails to catch up on and boring stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to be doing with my day. And then this evening, I will decide what I'm reading next, and I will chat with you then. Hello, welcome to my kitchen cabinet. My book of the month came and I just finished the workday, so perfect timing. I thought we could open it together. I already know what's in here, but it'll be kind of a surprise to you, I guess. Not if you know me. If you know me, you know exactly what I picked. But here's what I got this month. So my choice out of the 5 books was Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year, except I'm anticipating it to be a 3-star thriller, but that's fine. I wanted to read it anyway. This is the same author of The Wife Upstairs, but this is an islandy mystery thriller, and that's really all I know about it. I don't really need to know too much more, but I got this. And then the other book I got I'm actually more excited for, and that is The Maid by Nita Prose. This is a mystery book that I heard described as Eleanor Oliphant solves a mystery. Sounds great. Love the cover too, so hope it's great. And that's it. And then this is the little bookmark for the month. Put me in, coach. I was thinking about doing a little reading vlog this month, reading these 2 books, and then maybe throwing one more in because I do have another thriller book coming in tomorrow that I'm excited about. I'll show you tomorrow. I'll keep you on hold, so it'll be another surprise book mail. But let me know if you'd be interested in a little reading vlog. Anyways, back to Winterween, what I'm doing next, what I'm picking up next. I need to edit tonight. I have so many videos planned for January, more than normal, and I'm behind on editing. So that's what I need to do. And also just decompress after the first day back at work and have a good meal and chill out. So I don't want to have my head stuck in the book all night. So what I think I'm going to pick up next is This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno, because I have the audiobook of this available on Scribd. At least I think I do. I did before. Because I actually tried to listen to this before on audiobook. I was listening to it a couple weeks ago while I was doing a puzzle, and I just wasn't in the mood for it. It's very morose. It's very somber. It's full of grief. It's about a man who loses his wife in curious circumstances and then is like haunted by their smart speaker or something. I don't really know exactly what to expect with this, but it just felt sad, and I wasn't in the mood for a sad book at the time, but I feel like I can handle it now. I'm in the mood for it. I can put the audiobook on. I can get some editing done. I can do my thing. So I'm gonna start this. Isn't the cover cool? It's so trippy. And then there's a dog, which makes me a little nervous. And then this, the longer you stare at it, the more intense it gets. But yeah, I hope I like it. We'll see. So I almost accidentally finished a whole book again without talking to you. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm definitely gonna probably maybe finish this tonight. If not, I'm gonna get super close. So I needed to talk to you before I almost completely finished this entire book. I'm absolutely loving this. It's incredible. It is such a good thing to have picked this up after being so disappointed with Near the Bone, because I've also heard some really good reviews of this one and I just couldn't be disappointed twice in a row. But this one actually is very good. It is so far a 5-star read for me. I am halfway through it. I would be very surprised if it did not end up a 4 or a 5-star. It's just really well done. It's really well written. I personally enjoy, I guess that's a weird word to use, but I really appreciate horror or thrillers that dive into grief. I've talked about this before. I just think that's something that I find to be not enjoyable to read about. I don't know. I just tend to like books that go into that. And this book is written with just grief seeping through the pages, and it's so raw and such a good portrayal of all the little things and the moments you remember that you're grieving, the moments that you remember that you forgot that you were grieving, the small things that make you ache in the chest, the things people say that are totally inappropriate but they just can't stop saying them, the sensationalization of people who have died. It's just written really well. There's so many good things written through here that I'm just like, ooh, that really got me. I've been listening to it on audiobook. Highly recommend the audiobook. Narrator is doing an incredible job really bringing the story to life. There's also a little bit of Spanish throughout the book, so that's enjoyable to actually hear that pronounced correctly instead of just reading it on the page. I actually do know not a lot of Spanish. I took 4 years of Spanish, or maybe 6 years. I took Spanish every year of high school and then a little bit in college. I do not know how to speak Spanish, but I know how to understand what I'm reading on the page anyway. But just hearing it, I just like hearing it too. And then there's also a smart speaker device in here, and it's not like incredibly differently voiced, but I don't know, there's just something about like hearing that versus reading it off the page. I've been reading a little bit physically or following along, taking breaks from editing or whatever I've been doing, but yeah, highly recommend the audiobook. Highly recommend this book in general so far. I mean, I don't think it's gonna take a bad turn. I think I see where we're going. I mean, not fully, I don't really know what's exactly gonna happen, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much that I'm even dog-earing the pages, which I never do in my books, but there are just so many impactful lines in here that I'm like, I want to be able to go back and reference that. And I kind of want to read them to you, but I kind of don't want to like ruin some of the beautiful lines. This one's on page 15, so you would get to it really soon, so I'll just read this one. And this is kind of long, but I want to read this whole thing, the paragraph. This is during the husband's lost his wife and it's her funeral, and he's talking about how people have tried to make him feel better by saying, oh, you know, nothing nothing's real anyway. The world doesn't matter. Sending him these theoretical articles about like, what if the world is a hologram and like none of this is even real. And this is written in second person with his thoughts. So this is what it says. So what if the universe was a hologram? So what if this was all in our heads? The points being made never stuck. I couldn't synthesize this knowledge, but even worse, I couldn't even regurgitate it to at least convince myself I knew something about life or death or meaning. Something inherent, something irreducible. With every moment, the floor shifted under my feet. The world was pressed against my nose, too close to see. I had no story to follow. My favorite character was gone. Oh, all these moments are just so impactful, and there's just so many of them that I keep marking, and I'm only halfway through, and I'm really loving it so much. As for what the story is about, I mean, it's kind of hard to give full details because there is an element where there's like this smart speaker that's gone kind of creepy. It's like ordering things to their house, but the story's not told in a linear fashion. It's told after the wife has died, and then you're piecing together the events that happened that caused her death, parts of their lives together, what was going on with the smart speaker, and then also in the present after the death, what he ends up doing with his life after that, and how some of these things are still coming into play. But I don't really want to tell you any specific details. I think it's just best enjoyed with not really knowing. So I'm gonna finish this one. Then I'll talk to you again and let you know my final thoughts. But I'm really glad I picked this one up. It's going really well. Hello, and happy day 2 of Winterween. I'm a little bit confused because I actually started on Sunday, so this is really day 3 for me, but day 2, hello, we're here. I finished this thing between us during lunch today. Read it pretty late into the night. Got to page 200, there were 50 pages left. It was getting crazy, it was getting weird. I knew I was gonna forget everything that happened. It was gonna be like a fever dream if I tried to read it last night, so I saved it for today. And yet, it was still a fever dream, and I do not know what really happened in this. The first half of this book, so good. Chef's kiss, amazing, beautiful, lovely, incredibly written, beautiful portrayal of grief. So freaking good. The second half of this moves into more of what he is doing after his wife's death, and then it becomes this like cosmic horror chaos thing that is very trippy and difficult to understand and follow. I still think it was good. It just went over my head quite a bit, and I don't really get it yet. I'm gonna have to do some reading or watch some reviews or something. I saw a couple author interviews on YouTube, so I'm gonna watch at least one of those and see if that helps me understand it a little better. But that being said, I still really liked it. I'm gonna give it a 4-star right now. Maybe if I come to understand it and appreciate it, I will give it a higher rating. But right now it's like a 4-star read for me. I think the first half is so incredible. And then the second half gets a little crazier, a little creepier. There's some really creepy moments in this book that actually freaked me out and created some really disturbing images. Also, listening to this one on an audiobook kind of freaked me out at times, especially like there were just so many weird things that kept happening when I was listening to this on audiobook. Like I was cooking lunch, listening to it on audiobook, and I was looking out of my kitchen window because I'm seeing the sun for the first time in weeks here. The sun finally came out today, so I was just trying to bask in the sun for a minute, and I had my AirPods in, which are noise canceling. And then I was sitting there thinking to myself while I'm listening to the book, wow, this is like a moment in a horror movie where someone's behind you and you can't hear them and they come up and they kill you. And then literally like the scene that was being read that came right after that was the guy looking into a window and he could see the reflection and someone was behind him. So this book messed me up a little bit, but all in all, I really like it, want to understand it more, want to dissect it. This is this dude's debut. This is his debut novel and it was really good. So I'm definitely looking forward to more that he does in the future. I would compare his work to Stephen Graham Jones and a little bit of obvious inspiration from Stephen King. There's a little bit of like Pet Sematary and Cujo vibes in this book. So it's clear he is a horror fan who is doing a little tip of the hat to some horror people in some moments. And then in the author's note at the end, he does say like he's trying to not be Stephen Graham Jones, but he says Stephen Graham Jones is a big inspiration to him. And he says, all I'm ever doing is trying to get to his level. And I would definitely compare him to the Stephen Graham Jones type horror. And I love Stephen Graham Jones horror. It's psychological, it's often harrowing and moving, and it's also examining real life social horrors, especially to do with race. And I could see this being like the next kind of Stephen Graham Jones talked about in horror because this was really well done. So I'll let you know if I understand more about this book on a deeper level post listening to an author interview or not, and if that helps. But even without understanding it, I still like the book. So still a good time, still would recommend. So next up, I think I want to read a novella to go ahead and click that prompt off. That's probably what I'm gonna do this evening. I still have a couple more hours of work to do right right now. So I'm thinking about picking up an audiobook, and I had a kind of crazy fun thought that I could listen to the audiobook for Cultish. This is not a conventional kind of Winterween pick. It's a nonfiction book, but it's about cults, and that's creepy. So I feel like it's the perfect kind of book to pick up for Winterween. So I think I'm going to give the audiobook a try for this one. I also just really enjoy nonfiction through audiobooks, usually more. So I think I would probably listen to this on audiobook either way. But I'm gonna try this one while I get a couple more hours of work done and see how that goes. It is supposed to be examining the language that cults use, basically examining how cults do brainwashing and really dissecting that and what that means with the language of it. So I don't know, I'm interested. We'll see if I like it. But I'm gonna go do that, get a couple more hours of work done, and then I will talk to you later this evening.
I guess by June. But after July I stopped, but I'm gonna go back.
Hello, today is day 3 of Winterween. It's Wednesday and it's really late. I haven't filmed any updates yet today, but I also haven't done any reading yet today. It's like 9:30 p.m. I woke up with a headache, as I usually do during readathons. I didn't feel like listening to an audiobook while I was working. After work, I had to get some editing done. Then we went out to dinner with a couple people. And so here we are, it's 9:30 and I'm just now getting ready to read, but I wanted to update you a little bit on Cultish, which I was talking about the last time I talked with you guys, that I was listening to this on audiobook. And I got quite a ways into this, about 70 pages in. And to be honest, I'm not having the best time with it, but I think it's because I'm not able to really pay the most attention to it. There's the type of nonfiction that works really well for me on audiobook while I'm working because it's just very narrative and it's kind of like listening to a podcast in a way. If you zone out a little bit, you don't really feel like you missed a ton. This is not one of those books. This one's pretty wordy, and I feel like there's just a lot of research referenced or quotes from other people that this author interviewed referenced. It just feels like there are so many like anecdotal statements throughout this that if you zone out, you really feel like you miss a lot. So I don't feel like I'm giving this the attention that I needed. So I just went ahead and stopped it after like an hour or something, whatever got me to 70 pages in, because I wasn't really having the best time with it. I definitely think this book has potential to be something I enjoy, but I want to be able to slow down and actually enjoy it. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with this for Winterween or not, if I'll just read it later in the month. So that's TBD, but for now I'm going to go ahead and put it down. But I will say, I do think it's pretty interesting how it's set up and how it's going to focus on all different types of cults, and it's really deconstructing the word cult and what that means because it comes with such a negative connotation. The person writing this is just clearly very smart, and this reminds me a lot of the type of things that I would read when I was in linguistic courses throughout my English major, types of research papers that I would read. I had a whole class about language and gender, and it's kind of reminding me of the stuff I would read back then. So I really think I could enjoy this, but I'm gonna have to just really pay attention to it because it was just hard to pay attention to while I was doing other things. It also set up that it's going to dissect a couple different things. Like the beginning portion is a lot about Jonestown. Within the first couple of pages, it was talking about CrossFit as a cult, and that is just something that is a part of my personal philosophy. So I've always said CrossFit is a cult, and I've just always felt really strongly about that. So I really love that that's going to be like its whole section in here is talking about the fitness world and how that is a cult. There's also going to be a section on MLMs, which I find to be super fascinating. So because I want to be able to feel like I'm taking things away from this book, I'm going to want to pay attention to it, and I'm going to sit down for now, but I'll pick it back up at some other point. Also, I had a bit of book mail come in today. I kind of previewed this earlier when I was talking about my book of the month box, and I said that I wanted to do a like mystery thriller reading vlog later in the month, and this was the other book that was coming in that I wanted to incorporate in that, and that is They Never Learn by Lane Fargo or Laney Fargo. Some people say Laney, some people say Lane, so I don't really know. But this is a lot of people's favorite thriller book of the past year, or in their top like 3 to 5. I've only really heard super good things about this. I've seen a couple people be a little bit disappointed in it, but for the most part, I've seen so many people love this. I see so many people talk about the plot twist in the middle. It's like jaw-dropping. So I've got to check it out. I'm really late to the game on this one. I really want to read this one, and I'm almost considering just reading it now for Winterween. I don't know. I can't decide yet because I have a stack of books that I was planning to be like the rest of my TBR, but the more that I look at them, the less I want to read them. I don't know. I think I just haven't read all day, and so I feel like I'm not in the mood for reading because I don't have a book that I'm in the middle of right now, so there's nothing I'm like looking forward to getting back into, and that makes me want to pick up a thriller that I know is going to be really exciting, and the books I have aren't necessarily thrillers. So I have The Bell Chime by Mona Kabani. This is what I was going to read for my novella. I think I'm going to try to start this one tonight and see if I can get hooked in it and if I'm interested in it. It starts with a forward, and I read that, or a foreword. Do you say forward or forward? I don't know. The thing the author writes at the beginning of the book. And the author is talking about how this entire book was inspired by, she has really bad night terrors, and she said this is basically inspired by a nightmare that she had, which is kind of cool. So I think I'm gonna try to pick this one up tonight and see if I can get into it. But if not, I don't want to force it. I have a million other novellas. I'm looking at a million other novellas on my bookshelf that I could read if this one doesn't work out for me, so I don't want to force this. The other books I have on my radar were The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, but I just look at this book and feel bored. I just feel like it's gonna be so boring. Something about it just gives me really historical fiction vibes. It is historical. It's set partially in 1908. I think it's dual timeline. And I hate to judge a book by its cover, but I don't know, I just look at it and I'm like, oh, that is gonna put me in a reading slump. I could be wrong. It could turn out to be like one of my favorite horror books, but I just don't feel like picking this up right now. And then the other book that I had in my stack was The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie, which is just another one of the classic Agatha Christie's that I wanna read. And I do think this could be a good compromise because it's a murder mystery. So that is like more intriguing and exciting and kind of gives me what I'm looking for out of a thriller most of the time. I don't know. I'm just rambling and there's no point because I could turn out to read none of these books. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I've reached the point where I don't know what to do. But what I do know is that this vlog is getting very long, and I asked today on my Instagram and my YouTube community polls if you would rather have one really long vlog for Winterween or at least 2 to 3 shorter vlogs that are around 20 to 30 minutes. And I know this is approaching 30 minutes just based off of importing the rest of the clips. So I think I should go ahead and end the video here for part 1 of Winterween. There will be at least a part 2, potentially a part 3, depending on how much I read and how much I film. But with it only being Wednesday, we still have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days left of the readathon. So I don't know. I feel like it'll probably just be one more video, but I feel like here's a good place to stop and wrap up and kind of pause. And it leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger because you don't know what I'm going to read next. Honestly, by the time you see this, I will probably already have read a whole other book already. But you can go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you hope to see me read, and I am going to post this video when the readathon is still going on. So if out of any of the books I talked about, you really feel passionate about me reading one of those, you can definitely let me know and I will still have time to squeeze it in. There's a couple other books that are kind of high up on my radar. I don't feel like getting them, so I'm just looking at all of my bookshelves and I'll tell you what they are and you can let me know if any of those excite you too. But The Lost Village by Camilla Sten interests me. Ace of Spades interests me. The Perfect Family by Robin Harding, and Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Those are the other books that I'm looking at and thinking that I might want to pick them up. And Wonderland by Zoe Stage, or Zoji Stage. That's been on my TBR forever. Yeah, let me know. Try to convince me in the comments below to pick up one of those books. If it's your favorite book, tell me why. Let me know what you want to see in the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this so far. I'm definitely having a great time. I really just love how excited I get about reading books during these readathons. Even if I don't love all the books I'm reading, I just have such a good time reading so many books and just chatting with people while the readathon's going on. So far, we've had quite the bust with Near the Bone, and then quite a winner with this thing between us. Cultish is, I don't have an opinion on it yet because I just had to put it down, but I would say so far the reading is going pretty well. I really hope that continues into the next part of this video, so that's why I'm being careful about what I pick up next because I don't want to read a dud. But yeah, I'm just rambling and this is going on forever, and the whole point was to keep this short, so I'm gonna let you go here. I hope you come back for the next parts. I hope if you're doing Winterween that you're having a good time and that you're reading fun books. Let me know what you're reading down below as well. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.